Thanks for logging on to Christ Notes. We're going to start a study today about Galatians. We're going to go all through Galatians. So just jump right in. Galatians chapter 1, verse 1 says, Paul, an apostle, which is a special messenger, and commissioned and sent out, not from any body of men, nor by or through any man, but by and through Jesus Christ the Messiah, and God the Father, who raised him from among the dead. Every epistle starts with this kind of the same thing. Paul writes, it's God who chose me. It's God who appointed me. That's a beautiful thing, because if you remember, Paul was a jerk. He was persecuting the Christians. He was out to get them. He was a superstar in the Jewish faith, because he was going out and he was making sure this Christianity stuff wasn't going to take hold. And the road to Damascus, Jesus shows up and says, guess what, Paul? I've chosen you to be a vessel for me. And as Paul later writes, he says, I was chosen before I was even in my mother's womb to be a preacher to the Gentiles. So the cool things with that, to me, takes all of the pressure off of us, because Jesus chooses us. All right? Many are called, few are chosen. Jesus chooses us, and he chooses us knowing full well 100% who and what we are. He knows our strengths. He knows our fears. He knows how he's going to use us. He knows what he needs to do, and he still chooses us. So with all of our faults, with all of the things that just aren't the way they're supposed to be in our lives, because none of us is righteous, no, not one. None of us knows how to pray. As you know, Paul writes repeatedly, none of us knows how to pray. None of us is righteous. He writes in Romans that all men have been consigned to disobedience, only that our Father may have mercy on us all alike. So God chooses us. And another cool thing about that is that takes the burden out of us, that we don't have to fret it. If God chooses us to be an apostle, a prophet, evangelist, a teacher, or a prophet, whatever, it's his doing. He will do it. Therefore, he's responsible to empower us. It's not up to us. It's all that burden that the world and religion wants to put on us all the time. It goes away when you realize it's God doing the choosing. It's God doing the empowering. And we don't have to answer to a man. We answer to our Father. And our Father is eternally merciful towards us in spite of ourselves. So we are all called and chosen. If we're called and chosen, we're all called and chosen because our Father willed it. King David writes, all the days of my life, they were written down before they ever took shape. Jesus knew he was called, he was chosen, and he knew his appointed time to die, because as they were going to throw him over the cliff, he says, it's not my time. You're not throwing me over a cliff today. I know when my time is. So the piece here is that God has a plan. He is the potter. We're the clay. He is the gardener, and we're the branches. Jesus is the vine. We're the branches. Jesus is a shepherd, and we're the sheep. Our Father knows the beginning and the end, and he has a plan, and he has a purpose. He has prearranged the paths that we are to take in righteousness so that his will is done, which means our life will have abundance to it, because all things work out for our good. All things, we're more than conquerors through Christ who loves us, because God did the calling. It's not us. And there's another cool thing. Since God's the one that chose you and I, we can't be unchosen. We can't be lost. We can't backslide and lose. For that to happen, think God would have had to have been made a terrible mistake. Say, man, I gave Brad all this life and abundance, and he walked away from it. Well, if he knows the beginning and the end, why would he ever give it to me in the first place? He's not going to give it to me, because the Bible says his calls and his gifts are irrevocable. He never withdraws them once they're given. And salvation is a gift, so God will never take it back. He'll never change his mind about it. So all these epistles, every one we read that Paul writes, he starts off by saying, God is the one that chose me, and God is the one that chose you, and he chose me. And there's perfect peace in that, because God knows exactly what he's doing, and he'll never unchoose us. So I hope that blessed you. Thanks for logging on, and I can't wait to do more and more studying Galatians, because it's a powerful and wonderful book that talks about how free we are from all the rules and regulations of the world, and just how great Jesus can be within us. Have a great day.